Why would you want a set of antique singing bowls? Here's a wonderful set. It's set 06 on the website, singingbowlmuseum.com, plus 4 individual bowls that the customer added one by one. And we've created a wonderful, harmonious experience with this set of large, small, and medium bowls. The customer actually had previously purchased 2, so there's actually 2 more medium pieces that are not here that he already has at home. But listening to the recordings, I can hear that the whole experience is really quite special. And I'd like to talk a little bit about why you may want a set like this, what makes it so special, talk about the individual bowls. As I have explained in my other videos and articles, I spent years traveling to Nepal collecting the very finest antique singing bowls and was very aggressive about it, buying a very large quantity whenever I could, whereas my competitors, who were possibly limited on their capital, possibly just had a different business strategy, would make more trips than I did, but buy very few pieces. So they would come home with a handful of pieces. Large bowls like this, maybe 2 or 3, whereas I would come home with 100, 150, 200, just large bowls. I timed my arrival when a big stockpile arrived in Kathmandu from around the hills. They go around the hills and collect the antiques and bring them back. And I would make sure I was there when they were literally getting off the truck, and paid a premium, actually sort of a bribe, because it was just a cash payment of thousands of dollars at a time to get alerted when they were going to be there so I could get there first. And it worked very, very well. I invested my life savings more than once to get these large collections, and ended up with the largest and best collection of the antique singing bowls ever assembled. With the museum, it ended up being close to 1,000 pieces. It's far fewer now that so many of them have sold, but that's after I sold many pieces. So when I brought them home, I put them on my old website, which I no longer run, HimalayanBowls.com, and sold most of the antiques over a period of 21 years before Patrick took over the company. But in all those 20 years, I put aside the best pieces for the museum with the intention of starting the museum and also the intention to create these sets. So I know I've said it many times, but for those of you who haven't heard the story, that's it in a nutshell, and you can hear more details in other videos in my articles about how all of this came to pass, that I got the largest and best collection of antique singing bowls ever. Nothing sounds like these bowls. And with the sets, there's never been such wonderful combinations created where they are so harmonious together and where they match so well. I say never, but some of these sets may have been made to go together. Some of them definitely were made to go together. This one I will put a maybe, because the bowls aren't identical. They're from a very similar period. They have a very similar profile. All but one of them look like they were made by the same maker around the same time. And the way that they blend harmoniously is just out of this world. So these are world-class sets that I've put together the pieces not only for the best harmony, but also for the closest match. So I'll go through these one by one, and you can get an idea of what I mean. Starting with this golden piece here on the upper left, that's the deepest bowl, and what I call one of the special deep bowls. Very special for the depth of the tone, which, by the way, this is set 06, so you can hear all of them and see up-close photos on the website by searching for set 06. The golden color and the deep tone, wonderful craftsmanship makes it a real standout. One of the most collectible antiques ever. The next piece is a very close match, a very similar bowl without the golden color. So the deepest piece was probably cleaned and may have looked more like this one with the, what I call leopard spot patina. And the same with the third piece. It was probably cleaned and now has that golden color from when it was new. But if you look closely, you'll see that leopard spot patina just very faded from where it was cleaned. And what happens with those spots is that when the bowl is newer or less worn, like the fifth bowl here actually, still has some indentations from the hammer marks. So the bowls are made with hammers and the new ones have actual indentations in them. But over time, from handling, the metal gets more and more smooth. And after a few hundred years, like these pieces, the metal gets completely smooth. So those hammer marks are no longer three-dimensional, they're flat, but the color remains as these little spots. This is one of the details of the history and the aging process that I figured out many years ago. And you can read all about that in my book, The Singing Bowl Book. As we continue up with these pieces, the third and the fourth get more refined until this piece, which is one of the very best singing bowls ever made. It's one of my very favorites. It is such a well-crafted piece that it looks perfect, it sounds perfect, really just a wonderful, exquisite example of what I call the high period of the singing bowls, which is around the 16th, 17th century. And this is the same period that we also see a flourishing of art in Tibetan culture, Himalayan culture, you could say, because all over the region, there were amazing artists producing paintings and statues, great works of art, building temples. It was a time of real flourishing in Buddhism. And these bowls seem to come from that high period, a good majority of the best pieces. The earlier bowls tend to be more time-consuming to make, fewer in number, and slightly more rustic than these high period bowls where they really perfected the techniques and made the most beautifully crafted pieces. And then the later singing bowls, which are made in more of a hurry. They were making more of them, so they were using techniques that took considerably less time. And the bowls are less decorated, less finished, and more simple. So these come from that middle period, which seems to be the very best, where the most symmetrical. Therefore, the best sounding pieces were made. So if we go up, the youngest piece reflects this a little bit, that it is slightly less refined than the best one. So it's not quite as well made. And you can see that if you look very, very closely, it's just very, very slightly less symmetrical, less refined. That may just be an individual quirk, but in my experience, it reflects the time that it was made, that as time went on, the artisans seemed to become less and less skilled, till we get to the really later bowls of the 19th century, which were made very simply. So then this customer added these individual bowls, which are sonically wonderful with the whole set. He's repeated tones on multiple octaves, which is an effect I really like. So you can hear the same or similar pitch on different octaves. That's the very close match, and overall very, very beautiful harmonies in the whole set. So now I'll pick each one up individually and talk about its merits. And you can also go back to the website, and in set 06 you'll see photos and recordings and also a description which explains as well. And this wonderful set, let's look at them individually. The Deep Bowl is a real knockout. Sounds very similar to my personal best bowl, which I featured in a video a week or two ago. It's really wonderful. Now, these are the most rare and special pieces, that there are only a handful of them ever found, that they're as close to perfect as you'll ever get, that they are the most intact, best condition, real antiques. I mean, this is, a good 400 years old, and it's just perfect, and it's only improved with age. One thing that you may notice is that how deep the tone is for the size. These bowls are only 11-12 inches, but you get a very deep bowl that you would need a much, much larger piece to reproduce with a new bowl of any quality. So the good quality new bowls are much thicker. And so a tone like this, you'd be looking at a 16 or an 18 inch, very, very heavy, would weigh more than double what the antiques weigh because of how thick they have to be. You can get new bowls that are thinner. There are a lot of new bowls actually that are thinner, but they don't sound the same. They don't have the singing bowl sound. They sound more like a gong. They sound very sloppy, very gongy, not really pleasant, and they don't have any of the nice vibrational qualities. So to get a really good sound and a really good vibration out of a new bowl, you need a much thicker shape, and those are the type that Patrick still sells at Himalayan Bowls. So that's one of the things that makes the antique so special, that to get a great piece you can get in a much more compact size, much easier to hold. Still pretty weighty, this one, but you can see I'm able to hold it for several minutes and it's fine. Wonderful piece. Now, with all of my bowls, you get multiple mallets. You get the red mallet to hit it around, to strike it, and then you get the leather wrapped mallets to play them around the rim. And what I do with every bowl before I package it is I test it to make sure you get the correct mallet to play it around the rim. So I've got 6 or 8 different mallets of the leather mallets, because the diameter of the mallet is what determines whether it's going to work on a particular bowl. So a lot of people emailing me and say, my bowl doesn't sing. And my answer to that is it's probably not the bowl, unless you have an extremely thick or one of the really cheap brass bowls that don't sing very well. Then almost all the time it's going to be the diameter of the mallet. And generally speaking, the thicker the diameter, the easier it is to make the bowl sing. This one sings so easily, I have to go very, very slowly or I'll overwhelm it. Wonderful. So in that case, when it sings so easily with the thick mallet, what you can do is actually size down to a thinner mallet, and you'll hear it's going to be a little nicer. It doesn't come up so fast, and the metal doesn't vibrate so much that I have to back off. I can keep going. So you can experiment with different mallets and see what you get. Now, the second bowl in this set is that one with the leopard spot patina. Oh, it's a really beautiful piece. It has such a feeling to it that it's relaxing without even hearing the sound. It's really quite amazing. This piece is very lightweight. And just listen to that. This is as nice as a singing bowl can get. All of these, really, these are as nice. This should be the standard for anything that you're listening to. That's what a singing bowl does. That's what a good singing bowl is like. Now you know. you have those cheap brass bowls, if you have crystal bowls, I'm sorry to tell you that you just don't have the real thing. You all know it. If you're watching my videos, you know what I'm talking about. Just stunning. It's as good as they come, really. I love it. I just don't have anything else to say because it speaks for itself. The third piece, we're getting into that. These first two, I believe, are a little bit earlier. And then we're getting into that really refined high period. Beautiful piece. And a lot of those bowls from the high period retain the bright color, I've noticed. So that is part of just how well the bronze was made. That when they mixed the metal, they did an exceptional job, correct ratios and a thorough mix, so that you get that color that lasts and lasts and lasts. And I've theorized before that I think bronze makers were the real alchemists, that when people were claiming to make gold, what they were really doing is making bronze, because it really looks like gold, and when you polish these, they really look like gold. So you get an incredible symmetry, wonderful symmetry to the engravings and the shape. What I like about this set is how the profile of the bowls is very, very similar. So the curve of the bowls, the ratio of the height to the base and the shape of the curve is very, very similar. And that's one of the things that makes me think they were made by the same shop, by the same makers. It's a real wonderful piece. It's got some of this color on the inside, which could be removed with fairly heavy cleaning. I wouldn't touch it personally, but that one could be cleaned. And this one also could be cleaned and it would look like polished gold, would look like jewelry. The hard part is there's a couple of big stains on the inside, which would be harder to clean. This one really is the pinnacle of the singing bowl maker's art. It's even more perfect than the others. And you can hear how perfect the sound sounds. It's perfectly steady. The harmonics don't stand out. The harmonics blend in. It sounds like one tone, but it still has that tritone. If you can pick out those mid and high harmonics. Now, I said that second one, that's as good as they get. That's as warm, as beautiful, as harmonious, as moving, as relaxing. It's got that vibe, that antique feeling. Doesn't get any better. This one, they don't get any more perfect. So it's got a lot of those same qualities of the amazing vibe, very relaxing. But it's on a level of perfection that is unmatched. I mean, I don't think there was any other in my collection that was more perfect than this in terms of the symmetry and the craftsmanship. It's just ideal. It's really, really beautiful, and you can hear that in the tone. So that's a really marvelous piece, very special. The fifth piece, which I believe is a little younger and is not quite the same shape, so it may have been from a different workshop or a later generation. Wonderful tone. And what's rare and special about this one is that it's a little bit on the higher side. It's a little higher pitch, but retains all of those qualities of the great antique, of the deeper bowls. You get the warmth, the harmony, the wonderful interplay of the harmonic overtones, and of course it sounds incredible with the others. So you're getting an overall experience. When you mix 3 or more antique singing bowls together, you get this experience that's larger than the sum of its parts. Something happens when you get to the complexity of 3 bowls or more, that all of a sudden the sound starts getting bigger and richer and more complex and interesting and more beautiful. So when you just have 2 bowls, you have a great sound. what happens when I add 3, if we can hear it. Sound starts moving, and it almost amplifies itself. Something happens with the vibrations in the air that it does more. I've never been able to explain that exactly, except for talking about the complexity, that maybe the increased complexity does something. You can hear a video of just this set with just the sounds if you look at the videos that I made a couple months ago. So then we get into the medium and small bowls, and again, he's matched similar types. We've got some of the circle and dot bowls with the circular engravings, and then a unique style that is this very nice thicker style of bowl. Has a really beautiful bell-like quality in this kind of squared off shape. Very, very nice, with engravings on the inside. So these are all individually beautiful antiques, and the most important thing is that he matched them very, very nicely with the other bowls. So he's got the 5 large bowls, 3 medium bowls, 3 small bowls, and has told me he's going to try to fill in some of those pitches as well. So that's what you do when you have a set, is you look then for holes. So that jumps a whole octave. So in between this and that, there's several tones. He's got 2. And then from here, there's jumps in there too. So from here, da, 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 there's a couple of musical notes in there that you could add before you get to that higher tone. And of course, you can keep going. These are 5-inch bowls that he's ended with, so these could go up into the higher register with the little 4-inch bowls. So you can definitely fill in the tones, and this is actually the way that I recommend for people to build a set, is to start with at least 1 large bowl, ideally 3, at least 1 medium bowl, ideally 3, and at least 1 small bowl, ideally 3. So you've got the minimum set, a small, a medium, and a large. You get that 3-bowl sound effect. You cover a lot of octaves, and then you can fill in those tones any way that you like. So up to, my own set, which is 70 pieces that all sound harmonious together. A lot of people end up with sets of about 20, trying to get 3 octaves. So we get, into the 20, 24 pieces. And of course, most home sets, I would say, are going to be more like, 3 to 10 pieces. So a lot of people do make sets, and you can do it by either just choosing a set from my website or combine your own individual pieces, or a combination of both like we have here. He started with one of the sets that I have on the website and then has filled it in with the individual pieces. And I also create custom sets for people. In addition to that, the last thing I'll mention about sets is I still have something like 60 matching sets of the bowls that look like they were made together, which I'm slowly adding to the website. I say 60 sets, they're from 2 bowls up. So a lot of them are just 2 or 3 bowls. So it's not like 60 sets like this, where you've got 60 sets of, 8 or 10 bowls. It's mostly sets of 2 or 3 bowls, but then there's a few that are 8 or 10 bowls too. So you can start to see those on the website and the sets, and then I'll be gradually adding more as I'm able to. It's a very slow process for me to do these recordings and photos, and I'm very happy how you're all enjoying the bowls and getting so much out of them. And please feel free to send me any questions. People are asking me all sorts of questions all the time about the antiques, about sound healing, about working with the bowls, sending me pictures to tell them if a bowl they have is an antique or even is a singing bowl. I get all kinds of interesting questions, comments, and pictures shared with me. So feel free to send yours too. and I hope you enjoy all the content.